Well, very nice to see you, and thanks for coming and joining me and my ass. This is Azela, my donkey. I have a very nice ass, and she's very helpful and loves stories, and is very careful to wear her mask. Although Azela, you don't really need it right now because we're just recording and sending it out to people who ever want to watch it. So I would say take it off. It's okay. And when we go outside, you can wear it again. Okay. So is that all right with you? Okay. So here, I'll help you. It's hard to take it off your ears. Azela has big ears because Azela loves to listen to stories and likes folk tales and sometimes interrupts. I have an interrupting ass, and she likes to be in the stories, as you'll see. So anyway, I'm going to try to tell you a story, and I'm going to have a lot of these stories, and so this is all called The Storyteller and His Ass. I have a beautiful ass, a really nice, smart one, and she likes to be praised too, just between us. And she says, "Say hello, everybody." Okay, so good. Okay, now Azela, make yourself comfortable here. Just go down for a second, and once upon a time, this is a Russian story. Once upon a time, there was a Tsar, king of all of Russia, and the Tsar had a dream. And the Tsar didn't understand what the dream meant. What the dream was, the Tsar dreamed that there was a fox hanging from the palace. And so he called all the wise people, the men and women, the counselors, everybody, and said, "Tell me what my dream means." And they said, "We don't know, Your Majesty. We just don't know. A fox hanging from the palace. We just don't know." And so the Tsar said, "Bring everybody to interpret my dream. Everybody has to come and try." So they sent the guards all around the land, and they came all the way over the mountains until they came to Ivan, the peasant. Now, Ivan, he lived alone with, okay, what is it? Okay, you want to be in the story. All right, so Ivan lived with his donkey, with his a very nice ass with beautiful long ears and really, really good looking. And he and his ass were in the orchard one day, and he was sleeping. I think he'd had a little bit to drink. Anyway, the guards came and they said, "Ivan, wake up. The Tsar needs you. The Tsar had a dream." "What's the dream?" The Tsar dreamed that there was a fox hanging from the palace, and everybody has to come and try to tell the Tsar what it means. And so Ivan, even though he was a peasant, a farmer, he lived there with his ass, his nice, gray, beautiful, long-eared. He came over the mountains. The two of them went, the donkey and the peasant, Ivan. And they came along all the way over the top of the mountain till they came to some rocks. And sticking out of one of the rocks, right there was a little hole. There was a snake. That's okay. Just a snake in a story. Okay. And the snake said, "Where are you going, Ivan?" Well, Ivan was so shocked. The snake was talking to him, and the donkey was surprised too. And Ivan said, "Well, I'm going to the Tsar's palace. He had a dream of a fox, and I'm going to help. Everybody has to help. Try to tell him what the dream means." And so the snake said, "If I tell you what the dream means, will you promise to give me half of your reward?" Half. Well, Ivan had no money. He was so happy. "Sure," he said, "of course, I'll share half of." And so the snake pss, 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 whispered the answer. He came over the mountain with his donkey. They walked and 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 they walked. And they kept walking and walking and walking. So anyway, they came all the way to the palace. And Ivan and his ass came in front of the Tsar. "I have come to tell you what your dream means, Your Majesty. It signifies treachery. The fox is a symbol of cunning and deceit. And if you look around your court, you will see there are lords and ladies plotting against you." And when the Tsar took stock of this, he saw, yes, there's he said, "I will take steps to deal with the traitors. And as for you, Ivan, you have saved me, and here are 2 bags of gold as your reward." And so Ivan put the bags of gold on his strong donkey. Okay. Donkey, and they started back to the mountain, back over. But as he was coming up the mountain, he thought to himself, wait a minute. Why should I share my gold with the snake. I'm the one who did the work. I traveled all this way. I told the Tsar what to do. I saved the Tsar's life. Why should I share the... And so he came back down the mountain and went the long way around, and he never gave the treasure, or half of the treasure, to the snake. Now, Azela, what do you think of that? Not good. No. Anyway, that's what he did. That's how the story goes. I didn't make this up. That was fine, and Ivan and his donkey, they lived well. They had all this money, now gold. They ate well. The donkey got kind of fat. Everything was good. Now, the Tsar had another dream, and this time the Tsar dreamed that there was a sword hanging from the palace, and so they didn't call all the other wise people. They knew who to call. They went right over the mountain, came to Ivan. Wake up, Ivan, and get your donkey, and the Tsar needs you again. He had a dream of a sword. And so Ivan and his loyal donkey, so smart, so beautiful, long ears. He loved to listen to stories, by the way. That's what he did. They came over the mountain, and they were about halfway over, right up the top where the rocks were, and coming out of that hole was the snake. Ivan, where are you going? Oh, well, I have to go see the Tsar again. The Tsar had another dream, and this time there was a sword hanging from the palace. Please help me. Please help me. You're so wise, Snake. You just tell me what to tell the Tsar, and then I'll... Do you promise to share half of the reward if I tell you the answer? Oh, absolutely, said Ivan. And so the snake told him, psst, 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 psst. And he came up over the mountain. He came all the way to the palace. He came right in with the donkey, right before the Tsar, right in front of the Tsar. And Ivan and his ass looked up and he said, I know what your dream means, Your Majesty. The sword is a symbol of violence. Your enemies are preparing to attack on the borders of your kingdom. You must send the guards out now and the troops, and you will save the land, but act immediately. And so the Tsar did, and the armies went out, and they conquered their enemies. And he turned to Ivan and said, you have saved me twice now, Ivan. I'll give you 4 bags of gold as your reward. 4 bags of gold on the donkey's back, and away they went over the trail, up the mountain, higher and higher. 4 bags of gold. And as they walked, Ivan got more and more angry at the snake. And when they came up the top of the mountain, sticking its head out of the hole in the rocks was the little snake. Ivan, did you get the gold from the Tsar by telling him the right answer? But by now, Ivan took his knife and started to run towards the little snake. Just had time to turn and start to go back down this hole, but he chopped off the end of its tail. He did. That's how the story goes. Yep, Ivan, your master. And he took the 4 bags of gold all the way down the mountain, and that's fine. And they lived well. All was good until the Tsar had one more dream. And this time the Tsar dreamed that there was a roast goose hanging from the palace. Bring Ivan! Over the mountain they go. Ivan, wake up! He was sleeping under the apple tree. I think maybe he had a little bit to drink. And he and his donkeys said, what is it now? Well, the Tsar dreamed of a roast goose hanging from the palace, and you have to come and tell him what it signifies. Yes, I will. I hope. And over the mountain they came, all the way to the hole in the rock at the top of the mountain, and he stood there. There was no snake. And he called out, please help me, snake. Please come and help me, snake. I need your help, please. Finally, the snake came out. What is it, Ivan? Well, the Tsar had another dream of a roast goose hanging from the... yes, I know. I know what it means. I will tell you. But you must promise to share half of the reward with me. Do you promise? Yes, I do. Of course I promise. Yes. Psst, 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 told the answer over the mountain, right to the Tsar. Your Majesty, the roast goose means that the land is free of trouble and violence and mistrust, and now we can live with prosperity and peace, and we can love each other again. Your enemies have been vanquished. Rejoice. And the Tsar took stock and said, yes, indeed, the traitors were dealt with and the enemies conquered, and now the land can enjoy peace and trust and prosperity and no more lies and no more deceit. It will be good. Here are 8 bags of gold. Now, that's a lot of gold, and it's a lot for a donkey, but can you carry it? You're strong. So 8 bags of gold. And here they go. The Ivan and his ass up the mountain trail all the way to the top. And then this time he put the 8 bags in a circle around the snake's hole, and he said, please come, snake. Come out of your hole. I have brought gold for you. The snake appeared. Aha, Ivan, good to see you. You went to the Tsar. Yes, I went to the Tsar, and I have to say, I'm so sorry that I betrayed you before, and I'm so sorry I attacked you. And all of the gold belongs to you. You are the one who provided the wisdom. I will go and get the other 6 bags. And the snake said, no, there's no need for that, Ivan. You see, when the spirit of treachery was in the land, you were part of that spirit, and so you betrayed me. And when the spirit of violence was in the land, you partook of that spirit, and you became violent towards me. He doesn't like violence. And now that there's a spirit of trust and love and prosperity, you are part of that as well. And so now you come to me in a spirit of peace and trust. Ivan, you can keep the gold. That is why you acted as you did. And Ivan said, well, then I thank you. I thank you so much, Snake, for helping me. And he and the donkey were about to leave, but the donkey didn't want to go. The donkey didn't want to go. And finally, Ivan said, what is it? And the donkey said, ah, said Ivan. And he turned back to the snake and he said, the donkey has reminded me to ask a question. Are my actions only a reflection of what everybody around me does? Am I not free to make my own choices, to make my own difference in this world? Do I only do what others do? Am I not a free man? Oh, and the snake said, that's a good question, oh, Ivan. Those are very good questions. Those are dangerous questions. Sometimes those are very risky questions. And I will tell you, please, never give up those questions for a mere answer. Hold on to your questions. Answers divide us, but the questions we share bring us together. You have a wise ass. Hold on to your questions, Ivan. And by the way, you can keep all the gold. I'm a snake. What do I need from gold? And so Ivan and his wise donkey came all the way home. And they lived well, and they had much joy and much prosperity. And every night Ivan and his ass would tell stories. And the donkey, you see, he had long ears, so he loved to listen to long stories. And I hope you like to listen to stories too, because I'll tell you more. And I'll bring my lovely ass to the next encounter. And the best thing you can do, if you like the story, is retell it to somebody else. And if you can just remember, just tell them, I heard it from the storyteller and his donkey.